back, everyone, to another episode of the Lodhi Roundup. I'm your host, Majid Lodhi. Today, we have a very special guest on the podcast. This is someone who I've known for a few years and someone who I worked with on the pre-con condo side. During this conversation, we will learn a lot more about her, the builder she works with, and the pre-construction condo market. And lastly, some amazing projects that they currently have for sale right now. On the last podcast, I tried to introduce the guest and kind of butchered it. So this time, for a change, I will let the guest tell us more about her. So Shalini, welcome to the Lodhi Roundup.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. It's our pleasure and our way to have a fun conversation, but also give value to, I guess, the consumer or the clients that we work with.
For sure. This is my first podcast. So hopefully everyone's gentle on me with this, but
100%.
Excited to be here.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. I know a little bit about Shalini, but for the people that are watching, and I guess for me to learn a bit more, who is Shalini?
Yes. So my name is Shalini Karthigesan. I have been in the real estate business for 12 years. My current role is with CentreCourt, and I'm a senior sales and marketing manager. In my 12 years, I've solely sold pre-construction condos, and before CentreCourt, I was representing different builders across the GTA. I would say my journey in real estate has been, very different of what I truly am passionate about now. It went from just selling condos to being super involved in the entire marketing process. And as of right now, it's, who I am is trying to be a leader in the pre-construction industry to help realtors sell more pre-con.
Definitely. I think we do see you as a leader in the pre-con industry because you're very much involved on social media, off social media, and also with CentreCourt itself.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit about CentreCourt. So who is CentreCourt? And I know you mentioned your role a little bit as to what you do with CentreCourt, but what people see outside is that realtors just sell condos, right? But I'm sure your role is a bit more than that. It's just not selling condos at the pre-con side. Like you mentioned that a bit on the marketing side as well. So firstly, who is CentreCourt? And what does your role comprise aside from just selling condos?
Yeah, for sure. So CentreCourt has been in this business for 13 years. We're a high-rise builder, building high-rise condos across the GTA. What makes CentreCourt different is really our track record. So we are a builder who has an incredible proven track record, 0 days of interim occupancy, meaning we go straight into final closing. And what that means for our buyers is more money in their pocket. They're able to rent out their units faster. They're able to start paying down their principal faster. We're also a vertically integrated organization. So what that means is everything from land acquisition to sales to construction and customer care, it's all run in-house. And being under one umbrella means we have full control of the entire process, which is why we not only like to sell fast. In fact, it takes us an average of 16 days across our projects in the last 13 years to reach 70% sold. And we want to sell fast because we actually want to start construction right away so we can deliver the units to our buyers. So my experience, again, going back to selling pre-con from different builders, I really didn't have a say in which builders I was representing. So I was moved from project to project, and I didn't really know, what the values of that builder was. I was just told, here are the floor plans, here's the price list, go and sell. So, I have benefited from working for some great developers, but I also have worked for some that weren't so great, developers who have canceled the project, who had no idea what they were doing. Maybe they just focused on building 5 detached homes, but they had no experience in the condo market. And it was my experience working for those builders where when I was offered an opportunity to join CentreCourt, it was something I didn't even have to think about because of CentreCourt's reputation as one of the best builders in the GTA. So track record is first and foremost for us. Happy purchasers and happy agents where we always strive to work with more realtors and more brokerages. And I really do feel that we are changing up the game on how we sell. Pickering City Centre, for example, our first tower reached 95% sold in a slower market in only 5 days. And there's a lot of work that goes into something like that. That's not just, okay, we're launching, 2 weeks from now and we're just gonna give realtors their floor plans and information. We spend months marketing, building up that hype, educating our buyers, educating realtors. So, beyond CentreCourt, our sales team, our administrative team, it's, we all just work as one unit to make sure that we're hitting all of our goals.
Yeah, so I guess going back a little bit, so my journey with CentreCourt started in 2020. I, of course, knew about CentreCourt from before that.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I do want to touch is, from what I've noticed, is that CentreCourt is very education focused, right? So you guys do educate the realtors who ultimately sell your product. So once they're educated, they're able to educate their clients better. It makes the process better, right? But I guess going back, why was that approach taken? Because I know initially, this is pre-COVID, I forgot the hotel's name, but you guys used to do smaller sessions in downtown.
At the Shangri-La.
I think so, right?
Yeah.
So I've attended a few of those, and at that time I was thinking, like, why is the builder doing so many sessions?
Yeah.
Why is the builder educating, right? Because that wasn't common. That's not something that people used to do. Moving forward, even during COVID, and like now, I guess in this day and age, you guys are still doing that, right? And you guys, I think, are the first ones that do Condo 101, where you're teaching agents what the pre-con market is, right? So how has that approach resulted, I guess, in the results on your end? But the approach, I know we like it. I like it because it helps us, right? It gives us an understanding of what's happening in the market, how to sell pre-con. So, and I know we'll get into this as well, but selling pre-con and selling resale is a lot different, right? There's a different process that we have to get into. So I guess on the education part, like why was that important for you guys, and what made you guys take that step?
Yeah, so I'll, to answer that question, I have a couple things that I want to say. And the first is, even when I started in real estate, my first day on the job was a sales event. I didn't even know what a condo was, and I had to figure it out on the go. I wasn't familiar about development levies. I didn't know what an assignment was. And, in this business, you're just, pushed right into it, and it's sink or swim, right? So when I first started, I noticed, okay, there's not a lot of people who are actually teaching me. This is going to be upon myself to educate myself, to research, to Google, to make connections with other realtors, other builders, and learn from them. And so, from my core of just my experience of being in the industry, I always knew that it's on you. Your success can only depend on yourself. And no one else is going to give that to you. You have to go out there and get it, right? So I made sure early on in my career that I was asking questions. I would sit down with other realtors and their clients. I would listen to them on how they would explain the agreement of purchase and sale, how they would sell a condo. And it was really my exposure of different sales team members as well, and how they would present a project. I would take notes of, what I thought was amazing and what I thought I could put my spin on. So, I'm grateful that my team that I work with, we're all very like-minded, and we all have that same passion of, we listen to each other, we grow from each other. If I say something that's good in my presentation, I know that Jason, Mark, and Norris will also take that and, put their spin on it, or I'll listen to them, and, we all grow from each other. Now, when it comes to the realtors, at the end of the day, we all want that sale. And so for us to help a realtor with a sale or how to sell a project, we want to be able to give them all the tools that they need to succeed, right? So it's important for us not to just say, again, here's your floor plans, here's your price list, you figure out the project on how you're going to sell this to your client. No, we're going to give you a script. We are going to give you everything you need to know, because you, as an agent, also have to believe in what you're selling, right? So we want to make you confident in what you're selling so that that sale is just easy and it just comes naturally. So I would say, 2020 and COVID made a huge impact on our business. And as a builder, I'm sure you've heard of, the platinum agents. There's a handful of agents that maybe get that, access in the beginning of a launch where they have a guaranteed allocation. And in this business, there are some builders that will only work with those agents. But COVID changed things, and we realized quickly that we had to find the new agent, the next platinum agent, the next best brokerage. So we did everything we could to, drive everywhere across the GTA, hand deliver letters to different brokerages, to agents, say, we are trying to make you money. And, in us growing our database of realtors, it set us up for success. And in fact, 2020 and onwards, we launched about 12 or 13 condos successfully, all of which are either going through their final closing or going to go into final closing in the next couple of months. So we move really fast as well. So again, because of our pace at CentreCourt, we want to make sure that agents are also able to keep up with us.
100%. And I think I've been involved in a few projects that my clients have bought into, some in downtown. And even though that they were released in COVID, I think they sold quite fast.
Yeah.
And when it comes to final closing, or when it comes to occupancy, I know that you have mentioned there is no occupancy with CentreCourt, right? But now we're seeing the fruits of that. I think one of my clients just closed in one of your buildings in downtown 55 Mercer, and the lobby was done.
Yeah.
The amenities were done.
Yeah.
The hallways were done, right? And no occupancy. So we went straight to closing, which is kind of not seen in the industry a lot.
Exactly.
There are a lot of good builders out there, right? And I think there's a lot of builders out there. Just like how we say there's a lot of condo projects out there, and every condo project is not a good investment. There are some builders out there that you probably don't want to buy with, right?
Right.
Because the experience, so when you and I work with a client, or our goal is to give them a good experience from start to finish. So when they're buying their condo to live in or investment or whatever, it's good for them, right? We don't want anybody to ruin that experience, because there's a lot of moving pieces. Just for, on your side, when there's the condo being built, there's a lot of moving pieces, different contractors. And same thing for us, when I'm dealing with a client, there is a lawyer, there is a mortgage person, and then other people that are involved. So we want to make sure that the experience is good. Now, no matter what we do as a agent, so I'm talking about me as an agent working with a client, if the builder decides to not give a good product at the end, or the amenities are not finished, which will be finished a year later, it kind of ruins that experience, right? And I think you guys have cracked the code on it so far, where the amenities were built, right, and ready to use.
Right. And so essentially how that works is we are completing the building, all the amenities are complete. And once we move people in from the lower floors to the higher floors, as soon as they get their keys, they are the owner. So it's essentially move-in ready. I actually bought a condo from a different builder 7 years ago, finally got occupancy in January. It's nowhere to be finished, the amenity spaces in which I'm talking about. Some units didn't even have their floors in, they didn't have countertops, they were missing doors, they were missing closet systems, and they were forced to take occupancy and pay interim occupancy fees. So even currently, it's a one-bedroom and den, it's around 610 square feet, and I'm paying out of pocket $3,500. That, again, is not money going down to pay down my mortgage. It's just going, just out there. And I'm never going to get that back. And even though I have rented out that unit, I'm still at a loss of around $1,500 per month. So definitely purchasers are seeing the CentreCourt difference when they are moving into their buildings of how much money they actually are saving by going straight into final closing, right?
I think like you mentioned, that the industry has changed from COVID till now. I've seen on our end, when we're selling resale or pre-con, that our side has also changed.
Right.
But I believe on the builder side, people have to change and adapt to, I guess, the newer trend.
Right.
Which I believe you guys might have set in terms of the occupancy,
Mm-hmm.
and having the amenities ready, because a lot of my clients, when they do go into a condo and the amenities are not ready, they're like,
Mm-hmm.
what the hell, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And again, it leaves a bad taste.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're trying to change that. I think everybody is adapting to the new trend, and we're trying to just get off that. But in terms of um, building the product,
Mm-hmm.
right? So being on schedule,
Mm-hmm.
which is trouble for some builders, or
Right.
for some projects, right?
Mm-hmm.
Projects getting canceled and whatnot. So
Mm-hmm.
I know it's very important to pick a builder with good rep.
Right, and that's the importance of when I mentioned we're vertically integrated and everything is run in-house. Having full control means that we have full control over, the costs and the timelines from when we start construction to completion. And in fact, we eat that cost at the end so that we are able to deliver again these units and go into final closing, rather than moving people in, charging the interim occupancy, and then registering the building. So it's a very different process for us. And there are some builders that have, their interim occupancy period is not maybe 18 months, but maybe it's shorter, like 2 or 3 months. So every builder is different. But for us to say consistently that in 13 years, not a single unit has gone into interim occupancy, is huge. And again, that shows the importance of our track record and what sets us apart. But definitely when it comes to the amenities, you're living in the unit and you want everything complete. You don't want to live in a construction zone or knowing that, you can't use the pool that's in the building or the fitness gym or things that you are paying for, right? So big difference in that sense.
And I know you probably get this question a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So do we, when we're talking to a potential investor or a potential client, either talking with the market in general first, but then on the pre-con and then resale,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there's this huge talk about, hey, sometimes it doesn't make sense to buy pre-con, sometimes it doesn't make sense to buy resale, right? So what is your comment on the difference on the resale and pre-con side, and why would one go with pre-con rather than resale?
Yeah, so maybe first I'll start by the difference between pre-construction and resale, and then I'll dive into what the best option is. But with pre-construction, as you know, you're buying something that is not yet built. You're buying based off of floor plans and renderings directly from the builder, and you are signing into an agreement of purchase of sale where you own that contract, but the unit's not complete yet. So that construction timeline or completion timeline can be anywhere from 3 to 6 years in the future. And at that point, when final closing takes place, is when the home ownership is transferred as well. In resale, you're buying something kind of as is directly from the existing homeowner. Your ownership can be 30, 60, 90 days on that move-in date. But it is a big difference of, finances, I would say. So in resale, yes, you would be required to maybe have 20% already available and would have to qualify for a mortgage today. Whereas with pre-construction, there's more flexibility in your deposit. It could be 20%, over that 3-year period. And giving you more time to save for every deposit, and then also giving you more time to improve your financial situation, because you don't need a mortgage today. You have that, again, 3 to 6 year period until that condo is complete to have to actually get that mortgage. It is a question we get all the time of which is the best option. And, there's no black and white answer. It's whatever is the best option for you, right? So some people, again, maybe if they are looking in the resale market, there's going to be amazing deals that they can find. And I would say if you're qualified, you can get a mortgage, you have the cash to buy that, go ahead. I'm never going to say, no, pre-construction is better than that. I'm never going to say this versus that in that kind of sense. But pre-construction is just a different asset completely. And again, maybe you have a buyer or you are a buyer that is not in that position to get into the resale market, right? Not everyone can get into the resale market. So again, pre-construction might be more better suited for them because of the flexible deposits. I will say that in pre-construction, maybe it's a seasoned investor as well. So they know exactly what to look out for, AAA location, good developer, a neighborhood with good rental rates and resale rates. They know the neighborhood is growing. And so in getting in kind of in a community at the ground level, they already know that there's, more money for them to make. So it just really is an individual decision. Maybe someone doesn't want to put all their eggs in one basket and buy that one resale, detached home. And instead of buying that, they can now buy, a pre-con condo or maybe even two, right? And giving them more flexibility. But I will also say, when it comes to the buyer, it's so important for you to understand your intention of why you want to buy. Because if you're just saying, I just want to buy and you don't know what's actually driving you, you won't know what to buy, right? So knowing why you want to buy, is it for yourself? Is it for your children to build generational wealth? Are you planning for retirement? Is this, something maybe you have equity in your home that you want to leverage and just plan for the future? There's so many reasons why. And once you understand why you want to buy, then we can tell you exactly what you should buy, right? And that would apply with resale. Do you want cash flow now? Is this, and I see you're smiling because this is the truth, right?
It is 100%.
Is it capital appreciation? Is it, rent that you're looking right now that you can collect? Is this something short-term or long-term? So I think understanding your intentions and your goals first, and then we can tell you, okay, this is the best option for you.
I think you hit it right on point when you said finding out your why, right? Because I think everything is irrelevant till we know why you're doing something, right?
Right.
Why are you buying this property or this asset or this pre-con or resale property? And I have basically, that's like the gist of my business, right? Finding out why you're doing something first of all, but when you find out your why, then we got to figure out how to make that happen within your lifestyle, right?
Exactly.
So people always talk about, hey, prices are expensive. This is expensive. That's expensive. But it is, but we just got to work with what your budget is, right?
Right, exactly.
What's something that you're looking for? So finding out the why is very important. But along with that, I think what you also mentioned is for the pre-con and the resale side, there's two different mindsets, right? And once you figure out your why, figure out, I guess, why you're doing what you're doing, and then figure out if the pre-con or the resale is a fit for you, because I feel like maybe pre-con is not a fit for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
And you don't have to buy pre-con, right? You don't have to buy resale as well.
Right.
You don't have to buy anything. You
Exactly.
can do an investment as you deem fit. I know, which we also in Diligence sometimes talk about the stock market. Right? You can only make money in the stock market once you put in $1.
Yeah.
But the beauty of the pre-con or the resale is that you're able to leverage, right? You're able to make money on your asset, but you only put down 10, 15, 20%, but you're getting your appreciation on the full asset value rather than on the stock market or other investments. You're making money on the dollar that you put in, right? So I think the beauty is leverage, but also on the pre-con side, like you mentioned, that you're able to buy a property but pay down over a year, 2 years, 3 years, which is not possible on the resale side, right? And then as far as the value goes, you do your homework. If it seems fit, you do it. So people always say, hey, the builders keep raising prices, or builders keep doing this, or realtors keep doing this. So there's a very negative stigma in our market that, hey, it's us doing it. Right?
And I think just to add in, so once the buyer understands their why, their real estate agent will help them with the what, and their mortgage broker, mortgage specialist will help them with the how, right?
100%.
So figuring out how much do you have in your savings? Do you have access to funds? Is it a line of credit? Do you have access to a HELOC? Maybe you do own a home. Again, the power of leverage, that conversation comes up. But there are, more people involved than just the real estate agent in a sense that can help you, decide, again, which option is the best for you.
And what I also do, or what we have started actually, because again, you got to pivot, right? So we would have this conversation with people one-on-one sometimes, or we kept having people ask us these questions. So then we implemented something called a real estate action plan, right?
Mhm.
And essentially it talks about, essentially it's a financial checkup from the neck up, where
Right.
we ask you what your goals are,
Mhm.
right? What do you want to achieve? Do you want cash flow? Do you
Mhm.
want appreciation? Do you want a passive investment,
Mhm.
right? Because all the options are there.
Right.
We got to figure out what you want first. So
Exactly.
in the real estate action plan, we do a financial checkup from the neck up, and we figure out what your goals are, and then if we can help you,
Mhm.
because you can't help everybody, and everybody maybe can't buy a property, maybe can't buy a pre-con. But
Right.
if you can, once we find out your why and what your goals are, then we help you with those goals, align everything, and then eventually connect them with a developer, connect them with you guys at PCC or somewhere else, right? So
Right.
finding that is important,
Right.
and finding out the goal,
Mhm.
right? And I think that's where we both agree that if it's appreciation, if it's
Mhm.
passive appreciation, because when you buy pre-con condo for 3 to 4 years, you don't have to get a mortgage. And people used to say, well, interest rates are high right now.
Mhm.
My payments will be high.
Mhm.
I don't want to get a property, right? Because I'm going negative cash flow.
Right.
And we have seen, it depends on how much money you put down, but
Mhm.
in downtown Toronto, a lot of condo investments could be negative cash flow,
Yeah.
but you're banking on the appreciation.
Exactly. And when I started, again, 12 years ago, there were pockets of the city that you can invest in that were positive cash flow, but that doesn't really exist in today's world. So, again, understanding the real estate market is important for buyers to know what is realistic and what's not. You know, sometimes I will speak with a potential buyer and their agent, and unfortunately, sometimes that agent is kind of pushing their client to buy and just saying, oh, you don't have to worry about closing costs. You can just flip in a sign. And I'll pull that agent aside and say, tell me about the assignment market right now, right? And they're just interested in that quick sale. They're not interested in the best, intentions for their clients. They just want that sale done. And they're probably going to disappear and then have a realtor like you step in and try and save the day for this client when they're saying, well, my realtor told me I could assign and I have no buyer now. What can I do, right? So we, again, that is another reason why as a builder and a sales team, we step in and try and educate more realtors, because there is a lack of education that's out there. And so if we can be the ones to help realtors and guide them on, okay, this is what you need to do your job properly, and we're going to help you become a better agent, then that's necessary for us, but also to protect the buyers. So some people and buyers, sometimes they think that they know best, and that's not always the case, and they'll come in here and say the same thing. Oh, what's the best unit for an assignment? So in that sense, it's just maybe they had a friend or an uncle or a brother or sister that bought a unit 5 years ago and they were able to assign it. They made $200,000 and they want to do the same. And so, that buyer is just relying on, other people talking or what they have heard, as opposed to knowing what's actually going on in the market, right? And even beyond assignments, just anything, what closing costs are, what's standard, what the processes that, buyers have to be educated and they have to work with the right people, because not every buyer knows, what is the best for them as well.
100%. And I think being ethical and just doing your client right is very important, because whenever I'm dealing with a client, I take it in a way that it's like you have to respect their money, right? Because
100%.
people have worked maybe their whole life to save up, and then now they're ready to buy something. And if someone is just looking for that quick sale and then just selling something and they're out, you're kind of not doing right to people, right?
Exactly.
So I think as an industry, we have to do right by the client. We got to respect their money and respect the people, not just the money.
Exactly.
Right? And you brought up the assignment market, and I know the assignment market is flooded right now. And yes, people did make money in it. Yes, it was a good tool, but it shouldn't be your mode of investment.
Exactly.
And some people were just banking on that.
Right.
And I hope that they have the means to close now, because it is tough out there. It is not a market where you can just put up an assignment and somebody will just come fighting for it, right?
And those assignments are a result of buyers, unfortunately, overextending themselves 3-4 years ago, buying multiple condo units, thinking it was going to be easy to resell it. So always getting into real estate, you have to have a long-term mindset. You know, it is, you're in it for the long-term gain. And in that sense, you know, the investors who have been the most profitable are the ones who buy and hold and keep the properties for, you know, at least 10 years. And I think when you are picking the neighborhood or the location of that condo, it's also important to know, okay, is this neighborhood growing? Are there other developments here that are going to drive up the price point? Are there more commercial, more retail, you know, more entertainment options that are coming here? And if there are, then even more reason for you to want to buy that property and hold on to it until that neighborhood becomes more established.
Education is, we have mentioned this a few times, is super important for agents themselves, of course, and then educating the client. I know the approach that we take is educating. We say location.
Yeah.
We say education, because once I feel like your client or the buyer or seller is educated, now your partners are working together for the same goal, right?
Exactly.
And I feel like buyers or sellers or just clients in general are very educated nowadays because a lot of the information is already out there.
Right.
So we have to be super educated or know about the process, know about the market. And sometimes I don't know all the answers. We don't know all the answers, right? And it's okay.
Yeah.
And you can go find out. There's nothing wrong with not knowing everything because I don't think it's possible to know everything. Right? And I think it's okay. Perfectly okay. But when somebody doesn't know and they're trusting you, you have to do right by them and educate them. You talked about time in the market, and I feel like we repeatedly say this all the time. The time in the market is when you make money, right? And having that quick assignment or having that quick basically sale where you just buy and flip the paper, that's not where you're making the money, because time in the market is when you're making the money. Now, on that topic of closing cost, which is also super important because not a lot of people know what entails in the pre-con side and when you're closing, and there is your development levies, there are cap development levies. So what is the reason for development levies? Where do they come from? And if somebody's buying a unit, how can we get them capped?
Yeah, for sure. Just to keep it very simple and easy to understand, essentially there are city taxes that are passed on to the builder and the builder passes it on to the purchaser. And I think that is the most simple way that I can describe it. The best thing is for a purchaser to speak with a pre-construction lawyer that specializes in pre-con to actually go over, you know, the individual contract, because closing costs will be different from project A versus project B and project C. On average, I would say closing costs in general can be around 5 to 8% of the purchase price. So there are going to be development levies, educational levies, parkland levies, Section 37, and multiple other costs that are there. And I would say most are common that you'll see is the kind of the common price, but the biggest amounts that can change project to project will be those development levies and educational and Section 37. So again, very important for any purchaser to use a lawyer that is going to be able to review that contract and give them an idea of how much they should actually save for those closing costs. In pre-construction, purchasers are given what's called a 10-day cooling period where they can do their due diligence and review the contract with a lawyer. It's not the same as an agreement of purchase and sale and resale. That's only 7 pages written by the real estate agent themselves. This is a 50-page document plus. The condo documents are also over 100 pages, so you need to make sure that you're using a lawyer that is familiar with pre-construction, but also already familiar with the project and the builders, so they know exactly what to look out for.
Yeah, I think when you say make sure your lawyer is very well familiar with the pre-con market, because again, the process is different.
Exactly.
Right? For some people, there's the occupancy closing, then the final closing, and the numbers and whatnot are all different, right?
Yeah.
So very, very important. So I guess having, a good realtor, a good mortgage broker that you trust, and a good lawyer that is well versed with the pre-con market, because again, I think a pre-con closing is different than a resale closing.
Right. And there are some buyers who, for some reason, they want to go to their brother or friend or family member who's a resale lawyer, or maybe even a family lawyer, to review the pre-con contract. And sadly, they end up being misadvised because that lawyer is not familiar with the pre-construction process. And we have seen it where, unfortunately, in some cases, where purchasers weren't told about certain closing costs, or they didn't know, what big things that they should have prepared for. So, we see the importance of needing a good lawyer that, again, is a specialist in that area.
100%. And on the pre-con side, before we move on to the next question, I just want to make sure we didn't miss anything. So I know the financial advantage, or I guess the advantage of buying pre-con, apart from just leverage and buying time or having time on your end, which a lot of investors like, is there anything else that we have missed that we can mention before we move on?
Yeah, so when you're picking a project, so location is the most important thing. So a couple things to look out for that determines a AAA location is it close to major amenities, major employers? Is it close to transit, whether that's the GO train, TTC, any future rapid bus transit, and what's the price point? So I would say that buyers are way more sensitive to pricing and value more than anything else, and that was evident just last year, because not every project is selling as well as CentreCourt projects. And in fact, last year there were 67 new condo launches across the GTA, but only 9 projects reached that 70% construction threshold. So when you look at a project, not only is it the location and seeing if the current rental and resale market is healthy and where the growth opportunities are in the future, but you also want to look at pricing. Is this the best value in the GTA? And that is so important. So again, price point, what determines the price, again, to keep it very simple, is when the builder bought the land, how much they bought the land for. Essentially, if they buy the land for a high cost, they have to sell the condos at an even higher cost because it has to be profitable for them as a builder, but it has to be priced well so that they're actually selling, right? So there are a lot of risks that buyers are exposed to and realtors that are exposed to if you're picking a project that is not priced well, because in addition to a high price, the builder is also experiencing higher construction costs, whether that's soft costs and hard costs. And together, high costs and high costs, it just doesn't work.
100%.
Right? So looking out for what is the best price point, what is the best value paired with the best location, that is what you should be looking at.
And I think this is where the track record and how long you've been in the game. And I guess when you bought the land, I was talking to somebody a few weeks ago, and this was quite interesting and good for me to know, I guess, from my just knowledge. But he was talking about how in downtown, he presented a couple of different plot of land to developers. And basically, they didn't buy that land because for them to be able to buy that land at today's price and build on it at today's price, it just makes no sense for them. Right? So like you said, that buying the land is super important. I guess what price you buy it at, right?
Exactly.
And then after that, we have talked about this before, just in general, that building cost has gone up, land cost has gone up, construction costs, labor costs, material. So if all the costs have gone up, I guess the price per square feet or price for the project has to go up as well, right? And it's tough to build cheap.
Right. And so that's where, doing your research and working again with a realtor who can tell you which pockets, of the GTA are experiencing more growth. So for instance, I'm just going to point at Pickering City Centre because it's behind us, but it's a master plan community. We know that there's going to be over 10 towers. And every new tower that comes to market will be priced higher and higher and higher than the ones before it. So getting in, timing is important of getting in at that ground level because, if you're one of the first investors, you stand to profit the most. And beyond a master plan community, if you're picking an area where there are other developments that are coming there, you're also going to see that new benchmark price set with every tower. And maybe the price seems high now, but that next tower is going to be priced more, and now you just made money, right? So everything is all relative when it comes to that. But again, as I mentioned, it's a long-term gain, and it's something that you are buying for the long term. So you have to have a long-term vision in that sense, right? But again, that's why we talk about finances and leveraging maybe a family member or friend to pool money with and invest together with, to see again, maybe your why is just to get into the market and you can pick the best location. So again, picking the project and the cost, and no one has that crystal ball to predict where the pre-construction market is. I'm not going to say that it's a hot market, but there are hot projects and they're selling because they're priced well.
Yeah, and that leads very good into my next question that I wanted to ask, and that was for the market trends and where do we see the pre-con market going. So just before that, I know the condo market right now in Toronto and even the GTA is kind of taking a beating, right? Compared to the detached market and semi-detached market. Just month over month, average price has gone up a little bit, but I believe, or I guess the data shows that because of the condo market taking a beating, it's bringing the average down. Just in Toronto, I think the month over month price went up 3.6%. Durham was 1.2%. But if you look at the overall, I think it was just less than 1%. The overall Treb or GTA price went up. Now, on the condo side, I know everybody's been talking about how we want affordable housing, we want affordable this, we want affordable that, right? Where do you see the condo market and then the pre-con condo market? Because I feel like both numbers are different, but the way we look at them is different as well. So what do you think is the future, the next 5 years for the pre-construction condo market, as you are, I believe, very heavily involved in the pre-con condo market?
So what I will say to that is, just regardless of how many years it's going to take or what happens in market fluctuations, condos are still going to be the most affordable asset class when it comes to real estate in general, right? And that's always going to remain true. So I think that pretty much answers that, because again, it comes down to affordability and what people can afford. And the resale market and the pre-con market, it's, as we saw, their pre-con is going to be better suited for some people versus others. So again, it goes back to what is best for you. Again, we can't speak about what happens in the future because the truth is we don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know, right? So you take it project by project, and understanding the market as a whole, and as long as everything else is healthy, we're seeing international business. You're still seeing international students. You're seeing immigration. All of these fundamentals will always support the real estate market, right? And it's always going to be there to support pre-construction and to support resale, right? It's just, things take time, and people just have to understand that the market, there's ebbs and flows and there's market fluctuations, and that's just normal.
Yeah, when I'm in that phase with a buyer and we're making a decision to buy something, I tell them, hey, let's make a decision based on what we know today, right? Because tomorrow we don't know what's going to happen. You and I have no control what's going to happen tomorrow, but be content with the decision you make today with the information you know today.
Exactly.
Right? Nobody has a crystal ball for tomorrow. I wish we did.
Yeah.
Right? We'll make a lot of money.
Right.
But that is the gist, right? Make the most well-informed decision you can based on the information you know today.
Right.
And the market will do its thing for...
And think about, again, those fundamentals. What are things that are never going to change in the market, right?
I can tell you one is that everybody will need a house.
Exactly. Tourism, again, immigration, international students, international business. These are all just sustainable growth, right? Things that will never change, and things that will always support the need for real estate. because at the end of the day, there's always going to be a need for a roof over your head, regardless
100%.
of the interest rates, regardless of anything that's happening in the market.
Everybody's got to live somewhere.
Exactly.
They always need something to either buy or rent
Mm-hmm.
because they got a family and they got to shelter them.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I know when we started, I said 30 minutes tops and we're done.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it's been so far, but last two questions. And this is, I guess, a bit on the lighter side.
Mm-hmm.
Working in the pre-con market or working in real estate, what motivates you? And how do you find your job to be rewarding?
So joining CentreCourt, one thing about me, so I handle sales and marketing, and so all the marketing, leading up to the launch and during the launch and after. I didn't know I was a creative person. I didn't know that I had this ability to, be great at marketing. In university, I studied psychology, so it wasn't something I was even, kind of moving towards. But I was given a platform here at CentreCourt to kind of do my own thing. And so now, when I think about real estate and the joy of it, it's, for me, it's just kind of pushing myself and seeing how creative I can be, knowing that CentreCourt and my sales team is there to support me and some of the crazy ideas I have. And it's about, again, building the relationship with the realtors and the brokerage community and teaching them as much about pre-construction so that they can become better agents so that we can all sell more pre-construction at the end of the day. So again, it's beyond just my passion of real estate or selling condos. It's something that's different. Now it's at a place of, how much influence can I have on another realtor to make them better at how they sell, how they market a project, and seeing them kind of take my advice. So it's just something that's even bigger than I ever thought. So I'm at a place in kind of my life and my career where it's more than real estate, and now it's more about kind of the connection that I have with people in this industry.
So connection, education, and being
and then having
creative.
that sense of pride of knowing, oh, I did that. And, based on, again, my history in pre-construction and working with different sales teams, I never felt like I was in control of my life or my career. And I didn't think that I would get to a point where I do have authority and I feel confident about what I'm saying. I can speak in front of a room of, thousands of agents and because I believe in myself, and then I'm also supported by my coworkers who also believe in me, right? So it's that kind of opportunity that I've had to kind of explore outside of what I'm used to, and that's what I love. So it's just even beyond condos. Obviously, I love selling condos, but I want other people to be as passionate as me.
Beautiful. And I think being in a position to have an impact on somebody or somebody's life,
right,
I think is very rewarding.
Right.
And from what we see on our end, so I know you're on the builder's end, and you're Shalini who sells pre-con condos, but we do on the pre-con agent side, we do see you as an authority because it is a world that we live in now where social media and presence and authority and being knowledgeable, right? So everything is secondary, but being knowledgeable and helpful for people, right? Because if you're helping somebody elevate them to a point where they didn't see themselves, I think that's more rewarding than selling a condo for an X price. Right?
And for me, I think my goal is to always just be approachable so people feel comfortable with me. And once we establish that relationship, I know how far relationships can go in pre-construction. And once you have that relationship with a realtor or a brokerage or a group of agents, okay, now they will sell my condos that I have, right? So you have to establish that relationship first, and that's, so important.
100%. Now, before we move on to the last round, is there anything else that you would like for the listeners to know about you, about CentreCourt, about PCC, about the pre-con market, anything before we move on?
Yeah, I think it's just, be selective. This could be one of the biggest purchases you ever make in your life. And so going back to making sure you understand what you're buying, why you're buying, how you're making it happen, connect with real estate professionals. There is a difference of working with a real estate agent, especially one that is familiar with pre-construction, that will guide you. Make sure the realtor you are working with has your best intentions and interests at heart, and is not in it for that quick sale. Make sure that you're not just relying on the opinion of family members and friends to guide your investment purchases, and that you are connecting with experts. There's no harm in calling up a mortgage specialist or mortgage broker and just understanding what your financial capability is and starting that conversation. And there's also no harm in reaching out to a pre-construction lawyer to understand the buying process, right? So a lot of people don't know that they could actually pay a lawyer to a consultation fee just to even break down a standard agreement of purchase and sale. There are some buyers who are, a little bit worried. They're worrisome and they want to know what they're buying before they get into it. Of course, they have their 10-day cooling period, but there are experts that you can have to contact, to email, to just help you make that sound decision.
Yeah, I think having the right professionals behind you is very important.
Right.
That be in any industry, and especially when you're dealing with possibly the biggest asset of your life.
Exactly.
Like you said, good realtor, good mortgage broker, good lawyer, all those will protect you, right? And you gotta go in with the mindset that firstly you're working together, but they're there to protect you and make sure that everything goes well.
Exactly.
Right?
And then they're all going to help you pick the best builder with the best track record, with the best project and the best location, and again, suited to why you're buying. But having the right people in your corner is kind of the first step.
Awesome. Now, a bit more on the light side, just to get to know Shalini a bit more. I have a couple of lightning round questions.
Yeah.
I'll just say it out. The first thing that comes to your mind, you just say it.
Okay.
Favorite food?
Chicken wings.
Interesting.
I love chicken wings.
Favorite movie?
Favorite movie? I don't think I have one.
Okay.
I don't think I have one.
Okay.
I watch Netflix and movies.
Favorite show?
Oh, I honestly watch everything, but I can't think of one right now.
Okay. No problem. What's one book that everybody should read that?
I don't read books.
Okay.
So that's a fun fact about
podcast?
me.
Do you do
podcasts? Yeah. So
Okay.
I like my comedy podcasts.
Okay.
But yeah, when it comes to reading, I would prefer to read something that's like an educational book but I don't read.
Okay.
It's not my thing. It never has been.
I've been trying
Yeah.
to just get into reading, and I guess more public speaking. But I've been trying to just read. And one hack that I found is basically just because we drive a lot.
Yeah.
So just do audiobooks.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I've done a few audiobooks till now, but for me even it's like tough for me to read. So
Yeah. So on vacation, I'll bring a book.
Okay.
I never read it. Actually, my coworker is reading some book on bats right now, but I don't know. It's a fantasy book, but it's not for me.
Hey, that's okay. Favorite app?
Favorite app? I love CapCut.
Okay.
So when I'm like
learn that.
editing my videos, I love it.
I'm trying to learn that. My friend here, Nick, has been helping me with that.
Yeah.
Because I thought I was tech savvy.
Yeah.
But I'm not. So I'm just trying to learn all those things slowly. Favorite music?
Favorite music? I would say deep house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I go through phases. Sometimes I'll be into hip hop and rap, and it's just, it'll be phases.
Okay.
And then right now I'm in my house phase.
House phase.
Yeah.
Okay. I went through that phase already. Favorite day of the week?
A favorite day of the week would be any day that I'm off. So I don't have a Tuesday, Wednesday, because it all changes.
Okay.
But yeah, any day I'm off and I'm at home with my dog is my favorite day.
Dream holiday?
Dream holiday? Like favorite holiday?
Yeah.
Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And lastly, before we sign off, so I used to listen to this podcast, and at the end of the podcast, the person that was hosting it would always say, "What's a beautiful life to you?" Right? So he would ask that. So
Yeah.
I figured, hey, that's a very good question to ask. So, what's a beautiful life to you?
A beautiful life. I think I'm living it right now.
Nice. I think the best answer.
Yeah.
Because can't deal with the past, don't know the future.
Yeah.
So what you're dealing with
You
right
just
now
have to be
is.
happy with what you have.
I like that. I like that. If people want to follow you or reach out to you, how can they do that?
So you can follow CentreCourt first. So that's at CentreCourt Inc. on Instagram. And my Instagram handle, I actually don't remember. I don't know if it's Shalini _Karthi 416 or if it's Shalini Karthi _ 416.
I will have that.
You could have. Yeah.
I will have that in somewhere in the notes. My friend Nick will do that. So we'll tag you, and then people can reach out to you if they want to. If this was valuable to you guys, please share it with your friends, family, partner, and look out for the next one. Thank you.